My dear chosen one, what if I told you that the very force that tried to drown your spirit came dressed as a gift? Yes, something that appeared beautiful, soothing, irresistible, but was designed to destroy you slowly. The Dark Sirens weren't just people or situations. They were traps set by an ancient enemy who knows your power and fears it. Today, I need you to stay here, because I'm about to reveal how their song was meant to numb your soul and how you, yes, you, broke the spell without even realizing it. But listen closely, because their exile is only the beginning of this story. There is something urgent your spirit needs to hear right now. These Dark Sirens didn't just leave your life, they were forcibly exiled by the divine, because your energy became too untouchable, too awakened, too protected. But before that happened, they almost succeeded in their mission. They almost made you believe you were weak. They almost silenced the voice of God within you. That's why I need you to stay with me to the end of this video, because the truth behind their plan and the way they sought to enslave your soul will shake you deeply. Chosen one, I know your heart. I know you've felt the pull of connections that seemed magical but left you drained. And maybe you've wondered why it was so hard to walk away. This isn't just your story. It's the story of every soul who carries divine light. In this video, I will show you why they targeted you, how they tried to break your will, and how heaven intervened. So please, if you've ever felt trapped by the wrong love or the wrong voice, write in the comments. I am free now. Seats? And don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell, because what you'll hear today could change how you see every connection in your life. And at the end, I'll share the spiritual key that protects you forever. My dear chosen one, there was a moment, subtle, almost invisible, when you began to feel that something wasn't right. You couldn't explain it, and no one around you seemed to see it. On the surface, those connections looked perfect. The ones who spoke sweetly, who seemed to understand you, who drew you in with promises of healing or belonging. But deep within your spirit, an unease began to rise, a whisper from God that said, "This is not of me." You see, that's how the Dark Sirens start. They come in as answers to your prayers, but their true aim is to confuse the very soul that prayed. At first, the Dark Sirens didn't demand much from you, just your attention, just your kindness, just your willingness to listen a little longer, to trust a little deeper. But with each word, each moment you lingered, their song wrapped tighter around your spirit. You didn't even notice it happening. You thought you were helping, loving, or being generous. But beneath it all, they were pulling you into a web designed to numb your discernment. Their song wasn't music. It was a silent poison, dressed as harmony. And you began to drift further from your true center. The true danger of these Dark Sirens was never just their presence. It was their power to distract your soul from its divine assignment. They didn't have to destroy you outright. All they needed to do was occupy your heart enough that you stopped hearing the voice of God clearly. The enemy's strategy is rarely loud or violent at first. It is subtle, seductive, patient. The Siren's goal was simple: make you forget who you are, so that your grace would slowly dim and your mission would fall asleep inside you. My dear chosen one, do you see now how clever the trap was? And because your heart is pure, because your soul is loving, you tried to justify what you felt. You told yourself that maybe you could save them, that maybe this connection was part of your mission, that maybe, just maybe, your light could heal what was broken in them. But in doing so, you kept yourself close to what was silently feeding on your energy. The Dark Sirens played on your compassion like a harp, pulling at the strings of your grace until you forgot that some souls are not yours to rescue. And that forgetting, that's what almost cost you everything. But the cost was real, wasn't it? The exhaustion that weighed on you each day, the confusion that clouded your thoughts, the strange sense that no matter how much you gave, it was never enough. You prayed harder, you loved deeper, you sacrificed more, and still the emptiness grew. That's the price of playing with what was never sent by God. The Dark Sirens weren't just draining your energy, they were stealing time from your destiny. My dear chosen one, your weariness wasn't weakness. It was the symptom of a spiritual robbery happening in silence. And then, something shifted. Maybe it was in the quiet of a sleepless night. Maybe it was in the middle of a prayer you didn't know you were praying. The voice of God broke through the noise. It reminded you of who you are. And for the first time in a long time, their song began to sound off-key. You began to hear the dissonance beneath the harmony. You began to see the chains disguised as connection. And in that holy moment, the spell began to break. Chosen one, can you feel it? That was the beginning of your freedom. And yet, even in that awakening, came a hard question. How much of yourself had you given away before you realized the danger? How much of your light had been dimmed trying to hold together what was never from God? This question isn't meant to shame you. It's meant to free you. Because in facing it, you reclaim your power. You see the battlefield for what it was. And you begin to understand that the Dark Sirens never had true power over you. It was your grace they tried to borrow. But your grace was never theirs to keep. My dear chosen one, I want you to pause for a moment and breathe. Let your soul remember what it felt like to be free before their song wrapped around you. Because you see, the Dark Sirens didn't come at you with chains. They came with smiles, with words that felt like home, with promises of understanding that no one else ever offered. That's how the enemy works. He sends what you've longed for most, but taints it with poison so slow, so invisible, that by the time you feel the sting, the damage is already done. And yet, even in that, God had already planted the seed of your escape. That small voice within you, the one you almost ignored, that was your lifeline. There came a time when you started to sense that what you were holding on to wasn't holding you at all. Instead of feeling uplifted, you felt drained. Instead of clarity, you felt confusion. Instead of love, you felt a growing emptiness, a hollow echo where joy used to live. And maybe, in the quiet hours when no one was watching, you wondered if you had done something wrong, if perhaps you weren't enough, or if maybe you had misunderstood what God was trying to give you. But my dear chosen one, let me tell you a truth that will set your heart at ease. It was never you. It was the plan of the Dark Sirens to make you question your worth, so that they could feed on your grace without resistance. What you didn't see at first, what none of us see when we're caught in the trap, is how deliberate their strategy was. The Sirens don't come to destroy you with force. They come to make you destroy yourself with doubt. They make you second-guess the very gifts God placed in you. They make you believe that your light is a curse rather than a blessing, that your grace is a weakness rather than your divine armor. And as you start to dim yourself to fit into their world, they drink deeper from your energy. But my dear chosen one, no matter how dim you tried to make your light, it was always too bright for the darkness to own. And so began the war within, a silent, invisible battle between the voice of God and the song of the sirens. Every day became a test. Whose voice would you believe? The voice that called you chosen, beloved, protected, or the voice that wrapped itself in charm but sought to lead you to ruin? This was the moment when your soul began to wake up, when you started to remember the truth of who you are. And with every small act of reclaiming your mind, your time, your prayers, the chains loosened, the spell cracked, the siren's grip weakened. You weren't losing them. You were finding yourself. But freedom, my dear chosen one, comes at a price. And that price is often the grief of letting go of what you thought was love. There's a pain in realizing that what you poured your heart into wasn't sent by God, that what you thought was part of your destiny was actually sent to delay it. And yet, that grief is holy. It's the fire that burns away the illusion and purifies your vision. The tears you shed in that season didn't weaken you. They baptized you in clarity. They washed away the residue of the false and prepared you for the true connections God has in store for you. The moment heaven intervened wasn't when you said enough out loud. It was when your soul cried out silently, when your heart whispered, "God, I can't do this anymore." That's when the divine hand moved. That's when the sirens were exiled, not by your strength alone, but by the mercy of a God who had seen enough. And as they drifted away, confused at why their manipulations no longer worked, you stood in the ruins of the false and began to build on the truth that your grace is untouchable, your calling unstoppable, your light unbreakable. The dark sirens never had you. They only played with the edges of your grace. And now they are banished from your energy forever. So now, chosen one, as you stand in this space between what was and what will be, I need you to understand something essential. Their exile was only part of the victory. The greater triumph is the clarity you gained, the strength you rediscovered, the connection to God that became unshakable. And as you move forward, the enemy may try new songs, new faces, new distractions, but now you are different. Now you see with eyes that have been opened by fire. Now you hear with ears that have learned to tune out the counterfeit. And this is just the beginning of your new season, a season where your energy belongs fully to God and to the mission you were born for. My dear chosen one, when the sirens realized their song no longer held you captive, they panicked in silence. They didn't understand how the same notes that once lulled you into confusion now fell flat at your feet. That's because your spirit, awakened by divine truth, could no longer be hypnotized by what was never real. And let me tell you something powerful. When your grace rises, the voices of the enemy tremble. The very forces that thought they had dominion over you are cast into exile, not by your hand, but by the authority of heaven that shields those who return to their true identity. And as their voices faded, so did their access to your energy, forever sealed, forever cut off by divine decree. But even as they fled, chosen one, the echoes of their song tried to linger in your mind. Doubts whispered in the dark hours. Memories of what you thought was love tried to convince you to mourn what was actually your prison. And in those moments, you faced one of the hardest battles of all, the battle within. The enemy knows that if he can't hold your energy, he'll try to haunt your thoughts. That's why God calls you to renew your mind daily, to fill it not with the lies of the sirens, but with the truth of your divine worth, your sacred calling, your untouchable grace. This is how you silence the last remnants of their influence. And let's not forget, dear soul, how the sirens used guilt as their most insidious weapon. They made you believe that pulling away was betrayal, that choosing yourself was selfish, that setting boundaries was unkind. But here's the truth they never wanted you to realize. Your grace was never meant to be currency for others to spend. Your compassion was never meant to be exploited. And the moment you stopped paying their price with your peace, you began reclaiming your soul. That choice was not cruel. It was sacred. It was a declaration to the universe that your light would no longer be for sale. I want you to see this clearly, chosen one. The sirens didn't just fail to capture your destiny. Their exile was proof that your destiny is protected by forces greater than them. When heaven decreed their banishment, it wasn't just about removing danger. It was about clearing the path for your true mission to unfold. And perhaps you wonder, why did it take so long? Why did God allow them to get so close? The answer is both humbling and empowering, because through the fire of that trial, you learned to see the enemy's disguises. You gained discernment that no siren will ever fool again. Now, as you look back, I want you to honor the tears you shed in that season. Every cry, every sleepless night, every moment of confusion, it wasn't wasted. It was the breaking of the chains. It was the birth of your clarity. It was the sharpening of your spiritual sword. And though the sirens thought they were stealing from you, they were actually pushing you closer to God, closer to truth, closer to the power that now guards your soul. This is the beauty of divine justice. What was meant to break you became the fire that remade you stronger. And chosen one, let's go deeper still. The exile of the sirens wasn't just about your freedom. It was a sign to the spiritual realm that your energy is no longer accessible to darkness, that the grace you carry now radiates with a protection forged in battle, that the light within you shines with a wisdom earned through survival. And as you move forward, you will see how the enemy watches from afar, unable to touch what was once easy prey. The game has changed forever, and it is because you chose to wake up, to rise, to listen to the voice of God above all. This is why I urge you, with all the love in my soul, do not look back with longing for what was never meant for you. The sirens' exile is permanent because their purpose in your life has been fulfilled. They exposed what needed to be seen. They taught you what false light feels like. And now, your heart is ready for what is real, what is holy, what is aligned with your mission. Keep walking, chosen one. The path ahead is brighter than anything the sirens could ever promise, because this time, it's God who leads, not illusion. My dear chosen one, the fading of the sirens' voices marked not the end of your battle, but the beginning of your true strengthening. Though their bodies were exiled from your life, the echo of their lies tries to linger, like poison seeking to remain in your veins. They whisper of loneliness, of memories that once made you feel special and irreplaceable, hoping to weave doubt into your newfound peace. But these are the final hollow cries of a defeated enemy. Now is the time for your soul to rise in the quiet and declare boldly, I am free, I am whole, I am chosen. This is the shield that no shadow can ever pierce again. For the true victory lies not only in their removal, but in your refusal to let their song live on in your mind, and in your daily choice to walk as one who knows they are beloved by God. The sirens' true danger was never in their presence alone, but in the cunning way they mirrored your deepest desires and whispered your secret hopes. They wore masks that reflected what you longed for most, so that their false promises could enter unnoticed. And once inside, they worked slowly, subtly unraveling your confidence and dimming your light, not by force, but by illusion. This is why their song was so cruel, because it disguised itself as the very answer you sought. Yet the real answer, chosen one, was never found in their melodies. It was always in the quiet, steady voice of God that called you back to your purpose. And now that the masks have fallen, the unseen battle for your soul's allegiance is won. The schemes are exposed, the distractions removed, and your clarity stands as both your shield and your sword. As you walk forward, stronger and wiser, know that heaven has rebuilt what was broken, not with false promises, but with the firm foundation of truth. The scars you carry are not marks of failure. They are proof of a soul that fought, endured, and overcame. And in the quiet moments when memories try to resurface, let those scars remind you of the grace that lifted you out of darkness. Your victory is not fragile. It is rooted in your alignment with divine love. Stay anchored there, and no new siren song will ever gain power over you again. For what they tried to steal, they failed to claim. What they tried to destroy, God refined into wisdom, resilience, and strength. And now, as you protect the grace entrusted to you, no false light will ever dim it again, because you, chosen one, have become the light that darkness cannot overcome. My dear chosen one, the season you endured under the spell of the Dark Sirens was never about punishment. It was about revelation. You see, those who carry divine light often attract both the desperate and the deceptive. Your grace, so rare in this world, became a beacon, but not just for those who loved the light. It drew in those who sought to claim it, to wear it like a mask, to feed on it without ever understanding its sacredness. And in this, you learned a lesson no book could teach, no sermon could convey. That discernment is not a gift you are given once. It is a skill you must sharpen daily. The sirens taught you what to look for, not in others, but in yourself. The moments when you silence your own voice to hear theirs. The times when you dim your own light so theirs might shine brighter. The subtle ways you betray your soul for a connection that was never meant to last. This is not weakness, chosen one. This is the battlefield where warriors of the light are forged. And now, with every step you take forward, you walk as one who knows the schemes of the enemy, as one who can no longer be fooled by sweet songs that hide bitter chains. And yes, I know how heavy that realization can feel, to look back and see how long you danced to a song that was never yours, to see the days, months, perhaps even years you spent offering your strength, your time, your love to those who only meant to drain you. But I ask you to see this, not with regret, but with gratitude, because every tear you shed, every night you cried out to heaven, every time you chose to stand again despite the weight of betrayal, these were the moments that built you. These were the moments that heaven took notice of, that the angels recorded as victories, not defeats. The enemy hoped you'd stay down, that you'd drown in the sorrow of what was lost. But look at you now. You're still here. You're stronger. You're wiser. And the sirens? They're the ones left in exile, powerless, defeated, banished from the radiance they could never truly possess. As you move forward, I need you to understand this deeply. The siren's song wasn't powerful because of its beauty. It was powerful because of your hunger. The hunger to belong, the hunger to be understood, the hunger to be seen and loved in the way your soul always dreamed of. And that's where the enemy struck. He didn't send them because you were weak. He sent them because he saw the cracks where longing lived, and he aimed to widen those cracks until you forgot that God had already filled them. But now you know better. Now you see that no song, no promise, no connection forged in deception can satisfy what only the Creator can fulfill. Your hunger has been answered, not by the sirens, but by the voice that called you chosen, before you even had a name. And isn't that the greatest victory of all? That despite their efforts, despite the webs they wove, despite the charm they tried to cloak their traps in, they failed. The sirens failed. The darkness failed. Because what they couldn't see, what they couldn't account for, was the strength that rises in a chosen one who remembers who they are. And you remembered, maybe not all at once, maybe through pain, maybe through the quiet voice that refused to be silenced. But you remembered, and in that remembrance, you broke the spell. You shattered the chains. You declared with your very being that your grace belongs to no one but the God who placed it in you. And now you walk in a freedom that no siren can ever steal again. But with this freedom comes responsibility. The responsibility to guard your grace as the sacred treasure it is. The enemy does not give up easily, chosen one. The sirens may be exiled, but others may try to take their place. The tactics may change. The faces may change, but the goal remains the same: to distract, to delay, to deceive. And this is where your new strength will shine. Because now you walk with eyes that see beyond appearances, with ears that hear beyond words, with a spirit so attuned to the voice of God that no counterfeit can draw you away again. This is your armor. This is your gift. This is the reward of the battle you fought and won. And so I say to you, do not mourn the sirens. Do not long for what was false. Do not revisit the ruins of what God tore down for your protection. Instead, lift your head, stand tall, give thanks for the clarity you have gained, and walk boldly into the future that is waiting for you. A future filled not with illusions, but with divine appointments, true connections, holy alliances. Because now, your energy is guarded, your light is protected, your grace is no longer accessible to the schemes of darkness. And this, my dear chosen one, is only the beginning of the legacy you will build from this victory. Let today mark the day you stop looking back. Let today be the day you declare, with all of heaven as your witness, I am free, I am whole, I am untouchable by darkness. Write it, speak it, believe it. Let it become the anthem of your soul. Because what the enemy meant for harm, God has turned for good. What the sirens tried to steal has become the very strength that sets you apart. And as you walk in this new season, remember, you were never meant to dance to their song. You were always meant to sing your own, a song of freedom, of truth, of divine purpose. And now, that song begins. And now, my dear soul, as you stand at the edge of this great turning point in your life, I want you to feel the weight that has lifted from your spirit. The silence where their song used to echo is no longer empty. It is sacred space. It is space where the voice of God speaks louder, where peace reigns, where clarity floods in like dawn after the longest night. Do you feel it? That is the reward of your endurance. That is the inheritance of your courage. The sirens were loud. The truth is stronger. Their exile wasn't just an event. It was a spiritual shift that marked you forever as one who overcame. You are no longer the one searching for belonging in places that can't hold you. You are the one who knows that home is where God dwells, and that home is within you, unshakable, unmovable, untouchable. Chosen one, I want you to remember that the exile of the sirens is not the end of your story. It is the beginning of a season where you walk in authority. The authority to say no to what drains you. The authority to choose what aligns with God's will. The authority to guard your grace fiercely, because now you know how precious it is. The world will still try to sing to you. New voices will come, dressed in new disguises, with promises of fulfillment, connection, power. But you, armed with discernment forged in fire, will smile and walk on. Because you have tasted freedom, and nothing false will ever satisfy you again. This is your victory. This is your mantle. Wear it boldly, and know that heaven smiles upon the strength you gained through the trial. Before you leave this sacred moment, I ask you, write in the comments right now, I reclaim my soul, as a declaration to yourself, to heaven, and to the world that you are no longer available to darkness. If this message has touched your heart, please take a second to like this video, subscribe to this channel, and turn on the notification bell, because your journey of awakening doesn't end here. And to those who support us through Buy Me a Coffee, your generosity allows us to bring these truths to more souls who need them. Thank you deeply. If you feel moved to support this mission, the link is in the pinned comment. Every seed you sow helps us create more light in this world. Before you go, I invite you to stay with us. Watch the video that's on your screen now, or explore our playlist for more messages that speak to the soul of the chosen. And always remember, your light is untouchable, your grace is unbreakable, and your story is far from over. Until we meet again, stay strong, stay awake, stay extraordinary.